Hey girls, and welcome to season 4 of the Hey Girl podcast. I'm your host, Bethany Needham. This season, we get to hear stories of faithfulness from stay-at-home mamas, business entrepreneurs, some amazing single ladies, your dearest friends, and your favorite authors. We hope these stories will continue to encourage you to run your race in your place. For more information and to connect with us, go find us on Instagram and Facebook. We're at HeyGirlPod, or you can join our email list through my website, BethanyNeedham.com. As always, thanks for listening. If it weren't for you, I would literally be a crazy person talking to myself in a microphone. But thanks to your listening and sharing this podcast, I get to be a crazy person talking to you through a microphone. So grab a cup of coffee or a cold can of seltzer and let's get this episode started. This week, I get to introduce you to my real life friend, Jill Wambolt. I reached out to Jill about coming on Hey Girl because Jill is one of those women whose faithfulness has encouraged me in my own journey. I feel so honored that she set aside time to do this interview with us because, man, this woman just had baby number 4. She launched her new business, Kiss and Toe Shoes. And her and her husband, Mark, host countless people for dinners and long-term house guests from all over the world in their beautiful home that they built themselves. I am so excited to share her story with you today. And at the end of her episode, you need to stay tuned because I get to share about our new partnership with Kiss and Toe Shoes that starts today. Without further ado, I am thrilled to introduce you to Jill Wambolt. I am here with my dear friend, Jill Wambolt, in your home. Jill, we've kind of had a fun morning here.
Yes.
By fun, I mean crazy. I'm super excited to sit down and do this interview, but I'm just going to paint a picture so people know. My whole team is here, so the likelihood that there will be background noise is pretty high because we're all a little crazy. Yeah, Laura wants to scream so bad right now. But we got to come to your home and do a photo shoot. I'm sure listeners will get a chance to see these photos, which will be so fun. But even before we planned this, I had reached out and talked to you about, hey, would you be interested coming on the podcast, sharing your story? I got to meet you when you were engaged to your now husband, which is crazy. And we worked in youth ministry together. When we first went to Chapel of the Cross, we started youth ministry. You and your husband joined our team. We got to serve together. But man, even since then, girl, you have lived a lot of life.
I guess so, yeah.
In a lot of different places.
A lot of different places. Yeah, that would have been like 11 years ago.
Yeah.
Because we just celebrated our 11th anniversary.
Yeah.
This month. Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, I'll never forget. That's a tumultuous time to be involved in youth ministry as a young married couple.
I definitely remember making you do the newlywed game, which now I feel like we did a good job because you guys, you're still going strong. So.
I guess so. That was the refining fire.
Yes.
We needed that to prompt us on, yeah.
If you can survive our newlywed game, you can survive all of marriage.
Yes. No, we had a lot of fun with that. But I do remember sitting in the parking lot after we had like our first big argument as a married couple. And one of the things that I said to Mark, just don't tell anyone we had a fight, okay? Because to me, that was just the worst thing.
Yeah.
A new married couple could have an argument. So... And I remember sitting in the car, I wasn't going in, it was a youth group night, and I'm sitting there and I see all the youth kids peeking around the corner, looking out at me in the car. Like, I wasn't going to go in because I was so mad at him. And there's like, and I'm like, oh my gosh, he told everyone. He told everyone we're having a fight. And I'm sitting here in the car, and I was ready to strangle him.
Yeah, now that I think about it, youth ministry might be the most impossible place to keep secrets or like, because kids just see through everything.
Oh yes,
at that age.
And they were fascinated, I think. Like, oh, why is Jill in the car? What's she doing out there? And he probably said, well, she's mad at me, so she's just...
I can totally imagine them being like, I think they had a fight. Did you see that? Did they fight?
Right.
Oh, so Jill, obviously I get the great pleasure of knowing you in real life, but just take a minute, give a picture to people who've never met you before. Who are you?
Yeah, well, it's a pleasure, first of all. When you asked me to do this, I was like, oh my gosh, it's like a dream come true, and I don't even really have anything to say. But I'm excited. I'm so excited, and that you've been a long time good friend of mine, so this is a pleasure to be able to be here with you. But yeah, I grew up in New England and met Mark when we were in high school. We dated for a little while and then broke up for a little while. I went to Bible college and spent some time out there just really delving into my faith and learning about who Jesus is, and really got to kind of build a foundation for my faith during that time. So I would say that was very transformational in my walk with the Lord. Before that, I had a relationship with the Lord. I was privileged to grow up in a Christian home, and that was a blessing. My parents are wonderful. But that was the first time that I really took hold of my faith and was able to really own it and know Jesus in a deeper way. So I'm so grateful for that time. And I'm grateful that we had broken up during that time, because it was like, he could focus on his studies and I could focus on my walk with the Lord. So that was really a great time for both of us. And then I came back to Boston. That was in California. I came back to Boston and we started dating again, got engaged. That's kind of where we met you. We got married.
Yeah.
And then, we lived in Boston for just a short time after we got married, and then took off going out west. We went to Denver, Colorado. Spent a couple of years out there. Yeah. Learned to ski, which was amazing. I love skiing. And then we moved on to Los Angeles after a little while there and lived in LA for about 5 years. So we have spent some time out west, and it was all good. We had a couple of babies in Los Angeles and decided it was time to move back east. And we're really grateful. We had prayed so much about wanting to come back to New England, and the Lord totally provided a way for us to be back here. We couldn't have planned it better. We had prayed so much for so many years about when we were going to end up back east. And just a series of things came about at the same time. This farm property where we're sitting now went up for sale, and through friends of friends, they called us and said, hey, are you interested in this farmland? And I said to Mark, if we drew a line between our parents, that would be dead center.
Yeah.
And what a great opportunity to live back at home, but we just don't have a way of getting back there. How's this going to work? And so by faith, we bought this property. There's a little existing farmhouse over there that we moved into. But before that, Mark got a call from his national sales manager, said, would you come back to Boston? And it was after we bought this property. So we said, yeah, absolutely. So we moved back in like months, lived in that little rundown kind of farmhouse while we built this house. And now we've been back here for 2 years and had 2 more kids. So
wow,
it's been a bit of a whirlwind, but
that's like one of those Red Sea moments where you had to put your foot in and then the waters parted. It was like you purchased the property. You're like, here we go.
Yeah.
So one of the things I've always appreciated about you and Mark, and you talked about, kind of fast forwarded through, you guys have made a lot of moves, transitions, is I love how present you are in each place that you've been. And I just think, even from a distance, I mean, I loved having you guys in Westboro and getting to know you. And we were so sad, but like excited for you. And you're like, all right, we're going, we're picking up and we're going.
Yeah.
But the joys of social media is like, even when people leave, it's not necessarily like, oh, I'll never see them again.
Right.
But I just sensed, and again, maybe you'll correct me and be like, that was just my Instagram life. But it just seemed like you lived very, like, fully in every place that you went. Maybe give me just a snapshot, because you even said the skiing thing. That sounds silly, but like, you're in Denver, what do?
Yeah.
You ski. Like, what did that look like with each move, and how, as like a young wife, picking up, leaving your family, how do you choose that when you're like, okay, we're starting over?
Yeah, well, I think in the beginning, we had just been married probably maybe a year when we got the news that we were moving out west for Mark's job. And I think immediately we were excited, and it was an adventure. And I really knew that it would be good for us, even though I didn't foresee how hard it would be to leave our families and everything we knew growing up in New England. But I kind of had a feeling like it would be really good for our marriage, and to start out with just each other and forging away a life together when we didn't have family and friends around. Now you have to know we both have huge families, so we constantly had people dropping by and wanting to, have us over, and just there's endless birthday parties and events. So it was kind of a nice time to just be taken away and be able to leave and cleave together and get to know each other. And so I really think that that's initially how it started. And now a few years later, I think I was just longing for home. I wanted to come back here. We both did. And we kind of had not regretted the decision to move, but thought, oh, what if we can't find a way for a provision to move back? That was a little bit like reality meets the road type of thing. And so when the opportunity did come years later, we were so grateful for it. But yeah, each of those moves was a step of faith. I think I said no after the other moves. Like the first one was like a yes, like a big yes. And it was so great. And it was hard, but it was a healthy thing for us for sure. But when we were asked to move from Denver to Los Angeles, I said, no, I'm really very comfortable here. We had made wonderful friends. Yeah. We still have wonderful friends from that time there. And
you were on an amazing property, if I remember right.
Yes.
Having this like flashback. What was the place that you lived there?
Yeah. We were living on an amazing property, you're right. It was actually called a place of ministry, and it was a reserved, beautiful property for the purpose of ministry in hosting. So literally a place where speakers would come and they would host events, and if somebody needed a place to stay while they were in town speaking at churches, they could stay there. They had weddings there. It really was just meant for hosting of all kinds of ministry opportunities. And we lived at a house on the property that was also beautiful. It really gave us a vision of what it would mean if the Lord gave us a place to host and to have ministry done through and in our home. And it really did fashion my mind toward thinking that way. Like what the Lord gives you is not yours. It's yours to be used for his kingdom and for his purposes. So it was a really, really cool time of being newlyweds and seeing what it's like to do and live ministry. And in fact, one of the funny things I remember, a large group came into our home and we set up breakfast, and I don't think they knew we lived there. So when it came to there was a breakout rest time and you could grab a cup of coffee, I remember coming into my living room and there were just people sleeping everywhere, taking a nap. So we had, one man was behind the couch, I vividly remember, on the floor with a blanket over him, and I thought, I'm just so glad everybody's comfortable. But at some point they realized, oh, you live here. And I said, yeah, we're happy to have you all here.
Casa su casa.
Right, it really was. But it was just a really cool, opportunity to be there and to live, in the ministry. And we also were part of an amazing church plant there. So that gave us a vision for church planting. And that was just, it was a really cool time.
So then that had to be a pretty significant culture shock to go to LA.
Yes. And I knew it would be. I think that's why I said no. I said, no, I don't want to go to LA. I'm happy here. This is comfortable for us. We had a view out our back slider of the Rocky Mountains. And Denver weather, contrary to popular belief, is amazing. I mean, they have more sunny days than San Diego. So for me,
really?
Yeah, we had community, we had the weather, we loved skiing, we were in Aspen and Vail every weekend. So we're kind of living the dream.
I feel like the Holy Spirit's calling me to Denver right now.
Yeah, I think I hear that calling.
Jesus, take me.
Yeah. No, we really were very comfortable and we loved living there. And we'd only been there couple of years. So when we got the call to move to LA and I said no, and Mark said no to his boss. He said, yeah, no, we're pretty comfortable here. His boss said, well, I urge you to reconsider. And when your boss says that, you kind of have to go. So we packed up and we flew out to LA. I think we actually were there in a matter of a month, I think, from when we got the news. So it was really
wow.
quick. I remember we didn't have a chance to even really say goodbye to church friends or anything like that. So, but yeah, we packed it up, headed to LA. Our first night was Halloween in LA in Santa Monica. So as you can imagine, there was all kinds of people watching, all kinds of costumes. It was like the city of lights when I arrived. It was just the Santa Monica Pier was all lit up, and I thought, I can't believe we're actually going to live here and not just be tourists to this place. So yeah, we were in corporate housing for a couple of months, and you know, that was interesting because when we first arrived in LA, it was beautiful, but then I think Mark took off for a couple of weeks. He had some training or something, and I was in corporate housing, and it was downpouring for days. It just rained and rained. I thought, what did I do? Here I am living in a new city by myself in corporate housing, and it's raining out. Like I thought at least the weather, I was sold on the weather. I thought it would be great, but yeah, so there we are, and it ended up being, it did turn around. The weather got nice, and we got plugged in with a couple of great churches and made some amazing friends. I started a mom's group, or was part of a mom's group while I was out there, met some amazing ladies who are still friends today. And one of the cool things about traveling the country and having social media is you can stay connected with these amazing friendships that I've had, and so thankful for all of these amazing people that we've met in our different life walks. So it's been great.
Yeah, so many seasons. I really love hearing, because obviously I watched while you guys were in Colorado, but hearing you talk about there, you kind of got this vision for having a property to host, and like, what if we had this place that, you know, we could just give over to God, and then I'm sitting here, I'm like, how crazy is this that we're sitting at your table where you've built this home now, which we can talk about. But you opened your house to us today, this crazy group of girls, to come and do this photo shoot. And I've been here on nights that you've opened your home and brought in women, and just, you've already done so much ministry, but also just thinking about from what God, like giving you that vision, fast forward, you know, move to LA, you come back here, you start in the little farmhouse, but then you build what I like to say, I'm sure you get this a lot, but is like Joanna Gaines' New England farmhouse.
Yes, like, definitely one of the highest compliments a girl can get. Like JoJo, I know.
Yeah, and it's, I mean, that's kind of the vibe, and it's a beautiful, beautiful property. Tell me, I'm assuming this was real. I mean, you took the time to build it, design all of those things. What was the vision that God gave you coming back here for this?
Yeah, well, one of the things we really desired was a place to put down roots for our children and a place for them to grow up. So that was definitely a big part of the vision of building this home. But for sure, we wanted it to be a place where God used what we had for his kingdom purposes. And this was definitely a labor of love. And I feel so blessed that we got to build this house. This is an amazing opportunity. But, you know, just having moved home, just had a baby, and building a house and living with our stuff basically out of a barn, you know, it was it was a sort of a hard time in that, you know, we were ready to just get in our house and feel at home. But, and you know, it's not a great time in a marriage either. You've got all those things going on to, you know, be smooth sailing. So we moved in here, and one of our biggest goals for this property is that it would be used for the community of Christ, and also just for ministry purposes. We would love for this home to be a place where people meet and gather and build relationships. And one of the cool things we've done with this table that we're sitting at here is whenever we've hosted a couple or a family to our home, we have them sign the table, the underside of the table.
What?
I don't know if you're under
Pardon
there.
me while I duck under the table.
So all different walks of life. We've had people to this home. Now, we've only been here 2 years, but we have lots of signatures under there, and I think that that's like a great testimony of the Lord using this home. Now, don't get me wrong, you know, we have 4 little kids, and dinner time is the worst time to have people over right now. So I feel like there are even greater things to come with this home than even now, because right now we are probably hosting the least we've ever, you know, hosted.
Technically, you're hosting 24/7. They're just your
That's
4
true.
children.
That's true. Yeah. We're hosting all the time. That's right. But
she heard us talking about her. The baby is awoken.
Yeah, my 2-month-old is asleep here on my chest, and she's precious. I'm actually glad she's here because she's hiding the buttons that are popping off. I'm pretty much at smoke and mirrors right now. When you just have a baby, you're like lucky to get clothes on. So I feel like I'm in clothes, but they might pop open, and that'll be a different kind of a podcast. It's like, hey girls.
That's the Hey Girl Hey podcast.
That one? Okay.
But you know what? We have so many moms that listen that I feel like they're all like, yes, girl, preach. And this, again, for everyone to remember, and you just talked about it, you've done this a few times. I'm starting to think there's a pattern here of you're like, having a baby could be difficult, but you know what I could add to that? So one of them was building a house while you knew baby. Yeah. Which you alluded to, and I don't think anybody's judging you that was hard.
Yeah. It was hard. And I mean, you know, I feel like hard is a relative thing. A lot of people go through a lot of hard things, and that's not, you know, on
but
the
it was
same
hard
scale.
for you.
It was hard,
and that's
for
fair
me
to say.
At that time, I was just ready to move and be settled in our new home. But yeah, it's, you know,
it's hard to nest when your nest is being built.
Well, and it was probably our most disorganized move. Like you and Andy, we had moved so many times over the years. Probably, I know you moved.
Yeah, we were crazy
times.
at the beginning.
Yeah.
We slowed it down after that.
I think
slowed our roll.
That's kind of like us too. We moved about 10 times in our marriage, probably more than that. Maybe we've been married 11 years. So yeah, we're moving all the time, but this was our most disorganized move. We literally pulled stuff out of our barn over there, put it on the back of a trailer, hooked to an ATV, and wheeled it over and put everything in our new garage. And so I had underwear and pots and pans. I was like trying to find our toothbrushes, just our first night in the house. It was chaos.
Oh, I feel that. I felt like this move felt a little crazy too.
Yeah.
So, okay. The move in having a baby is pretty crazy, but I'm going to fast forward us a little because you have some pretty exciting things going on right now. Yeah. And it blows my mind, but I'm also so excited for you. So you're in the home. Again, they're going to see some pictures of it because we just did like photo shoots around in the area.
Yeah, sure.
And I love what you said, like, God, there's what is happening right now, and then there's who knows what God has in store. I do think it's beautiful and a good reminder. When we bought our house in Westboro, I had a friend remind me that if the only reason God ever called us to that house or provided this home for us was to serve our own family, like for that to be a place for my kids and for that would be enough. Like I almost felt like I had to justify, like, well, we'll do this house for the ministry of serving other people, because I think you and I share this, like, I love to host and I love to have people over. But she was like, listen, that's awesome, and if God uses it for that, it's awesome, but don't also underestimate the power of what this will be for your children. And there's helicopters going over. It's crazy here.
Thought you were in the quiet countryside.
I know, right? Except for the military base.
Yeah.
But yeah, just recognizing that there's also that ministry to our family. And I think that I will say your house is beautiful, and I say the Joanna Gaines, but can I just like, oh baby, I have to out you for a minute in a positive way. Yeah. I love the fact that I can walk down the hallway and there's a playroom that looks like kids are playing in it. And I'm actually looking at an adorable little kitchen set. And there's kids' toys outside, like...
Oh, yeah. We were up early. I was up early, hiding everything under the couch. But down the hall, real life is happening, and you can see it on display in many of the other rooms.
But I think that's beautiful, because it's like, yes, it's this beautiful home, and it obviously, it's picturesque, and it's all... But that's ministry, right? Like, there's the side of it that it's beautiful, and it's messy, and it's everything all at the same time. Yes. And... I just think it's one of the reasons I love following you on social media is I love the real life, the videos and your kids, and you know, sometimes it's the could they be any cuter dancing on the floor, and sometimes you're trying to wrangle cows that have gotten out and get them back into the field.
Very
and
often.
It's just
9 months pregnant.
Oh my goodness, giving me a heart attack. I was like, she's gonna get run over by cows.
Very likely could have happened. I'm glad it didn't. But yeah.
So all of that, you're back here, obviously this home, but more recently, you have not only just had a baby, but you've also launched a business.
Yes. Yeah. I'm super excited about this business. So it was kind of not really intended for me that I thought, it's not the ideal time to start a business. I just had a baby.
I love that. It's not the ideal time, having just had a child.
Yeah. But this has been a long time concept that I had dreamed about and felt like would really contribute to my mom friends, just helping moms out. So so it's kind of like, it was the Lord's timing, because we started thinking about this idea about a year ago, and just since last Christmas really started to kick it into gear and made this business a reality. My company's called Kiss and Toes.
I love the name so much.
Yeah, and it is a shoe for children that directs them their feet into the shoes for correct shoe placement, so they'll know when their left is on their left and their right is on their right, because there are cute little woodland fox characters on the toes that kiss when they come together, and that allows children to know when their shoes are on correctly. And it came from an idea I had. I used to say to the kids, make sure your toes are kissing, make sure your toes are kissing, and when they're kissing, they're on the right feet. Well, when you have 4 kids, just a small thing like getting their own shoes on to get it ready to go out is a big deal. So I did it for selfish reasons. I thought if my kids put their shoes on and can get out the door faster, then we will all be happier.
And I just saved 25 minutes in my... I've seen these shoes. In fact, we came in and we saw, there was a little pair sitting. I'm like, I want a pair of them. They're so cute.
Oh, thanks.
So obviously the idea came because of how you're working with your own kids. But how do you this is more my own curiosity. How do you come from hey, this really works great for me, to actually turning it into a product, into a business? Because you're also, mind you, doing this while you're pregnant and growing a child inside of you.
Yes.
What does that actually look like?
Well, it looks like having a husband who's ambitious and overheard me saying to the kids every day, hey, make sure your toes are kissing. And he thought, what a great idea if that was actually a thing. So it was probably initially his idea to get this started. And he's my teammate in all of things, in all of life. So he definitely gets a lot of the credit for sort of suggesting that idea. So so we decided together, let's make this happen. Let's see how far we can go with this. So we designed the shoes. We found a manufacturer who can take the drawing that I did of the fox and put it on the toe of the shoe. And we found a shoe that we liked the design of and the comfort and all of the things. So so that's where it started. That was probably about 6 months ago, maybe a little bit longer ago, when we first went to manufacturing the shoes. And now we're at the point where we're selling, which is really exciting. And starting to see kids with the shoes on is really fun. And
that's got to be this crazy from this was a dream I had to, oh my goodness, that child is wearing shoes that I designed.
Yeah.
Because you just said you drew the little fox.
I did. Yeah. It's really fun. I've never thought, it's fun when you birth babies and you see all this work has gone on underneath for so long, and you finally get to see the product. That's what it's kind of like seeing your shoes on kids. It's like, wow, all this work and time and effort that went into building this is now and it's really cool to see that it's actually helping families too. I'm loving the testimonies from moms saying, oh my gosh, I don't even have to say anything. They just get their shoes on and get out the door. So in that way, it's been so rewarding and so fun. Just really cool.
So part of why I just thought it'd be so fun to have you on, obviously sharing your story, your own just faithful journey following God. It's been so neat to watch from your faithfulness in making big moves, even if it wasn't this is what I want to do. Embracing each place that you've gone, really stretching yourself, because now you got 4 kids, and we talked about it before, building a house while you're pregnant now, launching this business. I just love your willingness to even just not only embrace the place that God has you, which is a big part of Hagel, right? But even just stretching yourself in that, okay, I don't know, like you said, with the business, your husband's like, let's do this. And you're like, okay, let's.
Okay. I feel like so many of our adventures have been him saying, let's do this. And I saying, okay, which is, you know, part of our team. We're a team together, and I love the adventure. I think when I said yes to marrying him was one of the greatest adventures I said yes to, because there's never a dull moment. But I just, it's been a whirlwind. It's been really fun. And I'm never regretful of when the Lord is prompting in our lives for an adventure that I said yes. I'm always grateful that I said yes when we've done all of these moves, when we've started this business, when we've had 4 children, when we've opened our home. You know, all of those things have been such a rewarding yes. And it doesn't always look like it's working, because with 4 kids and so much going on here on the farm, there's often, you know, I mean, kicking and screaming, either me or the kids, and
sometimes both at the same time.
Sometimes it just looks like chaos. It doesn't look like it's working, but so often it's just an experience, and a lot of times it's rewarding, not for us, but for the people that have been a part of our lives. So I'm grateful for that. But yeah, it doesn't always look beautiful. That's a different podcast, I guess.
But again, I think that's such an encouragement for people, because we'll obviously encourage them to go and to follow you on Instagram, and you see pictures, and this is anybody in life, right? You look at pictures and you're just like, oh, wouldn't it be nice if I could just this beautiful home. And again, it's not that those things are untrue, but we miss the fullness sometimes when we don't recognize that every single one of us has that. Like, some days we're kicking and screaming, and some days the kids are kicking and screaming. Yeah. And just still the willingness, like, what does it look like for us in those days to show up, to keep running our race, even when we feel like we've just done an entire leg where we've tripped on every single one of the hurdles, and half of it's been on our face. I'm looking at my team like, is that every day of our lives? Yeah, I kind of feel But again, you come to the end, and I feel like so much of it for me is looking back and seeing like, wow, look at what God did with what in the moment felt like a wreck to me. It was like, how could this how do you even use this, God? Like, it's a hot mess. And I feel like even now we get to sit in this beautiful moment, and you still so obviously God still has so many things in store, but there's things in this moment that we can sit and celebrate with you. Like, here you are in this place, your children, you have 4 amazing, beautiful kids.
Oh, thank you.
Your husband, I love your shoes, but even...
I thought you were going to say you love my husband.
I love you. We love you, Mark. I just don't love you the same as Jill loves you.
That's good.
But you're like, even in that, like, there's challenges to launching a business, and now it's, you know, it's kind of designing something, and now it's time to sell something, and putting all of that. It's not necessarily all easy stuff. No. So tell me today, in this very current season, you know, the business is launched very freshly, but launched. The kids are all here. You actually had the baby after the launch, directly after, correct?
Directly, probably around the same time our shoes showed up at our door.
I was going to say, were you like receiving your shipment while birthing the baby at the front door?
Well, could have been true, because she was born here at home, so it very much could have been the case. I kind of prayed that wouldn't happen that way, that the shoes would wait till after, and they did, thankfully, because she came when she wanted to. But yeah, it totally means living, you know, as present as possible in the moment. And there are so many frustrating moments in my day, I can't even tell you, but just, I think having a constant open communication with the Lord, saying, Lord, this is your day, your time, your children. These are not my children, actually. These are your children that you've given to me to steward in the time that I've been given with them. And so to think of it more in terms of that way it's hard, but it's so much more of a clearer lens in which to think about these being his children, and my time with them is his time. And so to, you know, if I can keep it in that perspective, I won't get as frustrated. Because, when it's personal, when you think they are a reflection of me, it gets personal, and then that's frustrating. But when you think of them as, in your care and stewards of your time, then you're so much more apt to love them, give more grace, and have more patience. Because I have to say, being a mom has tried my patience more times than I can remember. And someone just asked me the other day, how hard is it to have 4 kids? And I was like, it's harder than I ever thought it would be. But it's, it's not about me. I'm learning. This process is a refining time of learning patience, learning trust, learning reliance on the Lord, and giving grace when we don't need grace. We don't deserve grace, but we need to practice that every day to our children. And it makes me realize how hard it must be to, the Lord doesn't have a hard time, but how we look to the Lord, oftentimes our children needing, grace. So but our days are crazy, and it's a constant conversation I have with the Lord, and it's prayerful, but I mess up so often, and I feel like I'm not doing anything well so often. I think, gosh, I've got all these things going on. I'm juggling all these things, and I'm not doing any particular one very well. I'm just juggling, and that's often the case in the season. So I just pray, the Lord keeps my arms moving as I'm juggling, because I don't know if I couldn't do it by myself. So I think I have to say, one of the things that really inspired my time with my kids is I enjoy my time with my kids. And I think, I try to remember that they are a gift from the Lord, and what do you do with gifts? Gifts are to be enjoyed, right? So I want to enjoy my kids, and so every day that's sort of like my goal getting up is we homeschool. So I want to not just get through our school days, but enjoy my time with my children. I want them to enjoy our home and enjoy learning. So, but one thing that inspired me, I'll tell a story real quick about when I first met you. You had 2 little ones, and they were so cute. Oh my goodness.
They were so cute.
They still are cute, but
they're beautiful now.
Yeah. But they were so little, and you were like one of my first friends to have little children. So I watched you pretty closely because I thought this is like a good foresight into what it's like to be a parent. I remember you were living in Northborough, one of the homes that you first lived in when you lived in Massachusetts, and I went to your home, and you were so present with your children. And one of the cutest things was we were sitting, probably having coffee, chatting like we are now, and we heard choo-choo. That's my worst train whistle ever.
I was like, I guessed that sound. There was a horn, train.
But we hear the train, and it's down the street, and you go, I'm sorry, we just have to cut. Just excuse me. And you grabbed their hands, their cute little hands, and we ran out the door. I just followed because I'm like, I don't know what are we running down the street for. But we ran down the street to where the train was crossing over, and it was just the most precious time because your 2 little ones loved trains. Maybe one of them did, but both of them were so excited about the train. And you were such a great mom that you recognized that and wanted to be present with your children and enjoy that with them. And that so inspired me because I thought, there's a mom who enjoys what her children enjoy. And that was really cool to see. And that shaped a lot of how I feel about raising children now, is I want to be interested in what they're interested in and enjoy what they enjoy, And
it get me all teary. I have my own podcast. I'm supposed to make you cry.
Okay, I'll let you do that at some point. But
I love that you have that memory. I remember that train and how we were like, I remember running down that street a few times trying to make sure that we got to see it, because it only passed by like once a day. So
really? So that's why you had to go. You were like, I'm sorry, we gotta go. I was like, go where? We gotta catch a train. But it was super sweet, and I love remembering that moment. And so it was very inspirational for me.
Well, from all that I can see, I think you're doing an incredible job. And that's one of the things I think as people even as listeners who choose to kind of follow you on Instagram, check out your business, buy the shoes, is they're definitely going to get to see that and the things that you do with your kids, from dance parties to baking and crafts and all of the things. I love that you frequently have naked children in your backyard on slip and slides. Not this time of year, but
naked. Yeah. I know. And my little girl is so often naked, I think it's probably inappropriate, but there's a freedom, a sense of freedom that
live it up.
That they have here. And I hope that they have a childhood they look back on and think, wow, that really gave me something in life to sort of prompt me forward. And
I love that we have squealing kids in the background on the swing. That's fantastic.
Yeah, that's an epic swing. You'll see that in my stories too, because that's a big part of our day is swinging.
Fun.
That kind of swinging.
So Jill, I have gotten to ask you all the questions.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to really, open up more to each and every guest. So I am giving you one question for the end of this, anything you want to know, and I will answer as honestly as I can and stay out of prison.
Okay. Oh gosh, I know. I turned to your team, I said, what do you all want to know about Bethany?
They're like, we already know too much.
Gosh, I mean, I just think, what's next for you? I think that's one of the things I would most like to know.
Ooh.
I mean, I already know that you're doing so much with the podcast and expanding that way, and it's exciting. But I think if I could ask you one thing, I'd love to know what's like on the horizon for you.
So, good question.
You just moved.
I know, we just moved.
You've done a lot of things, so...
I would say, so there's two things that... Okay, so here's how I'll answer you. Recently, I did this in my journal. I was journaling. It had something to do with taking the time to think about where are you headed, and really think about the decisions you're making every day. Like, am I actually making choices that reflect what I say that I believe or what I want or what I dream of, or am I just kind of living in autopilot? I don't know I have those days where I'm like, why am I doing the things that I'm doing? I'm responding or reacting to things rather than intentionality. And so as I was journaling, God really convicted me about getting honest about what I really wanted, because it's like my journal. Nobody reads that, right? Yeah. But I was actually shy about writing.
Nobody reads that.
I know.
Andy's in the closet at night. That's why she was mad.
Burned after I die. But I think embarrassment, I was afraid of sounding prideful. And the whole time I'm like, God, literally, my journals are like me writing to God. That's kind of how I journal. It's just like my prayers. And I was like, this is ridiculous that I think I'm keeping something from God. And so I began to write freakishly, honestly, in this journal. And so we're going to get real, because I promised you. I wrote down, okay, if I could dream of something next 10 whatever years, the things that I wrote were that I would have the opportunity to speak at a national women's conference of some kind. Like that the opportunity, but also that I would be brave enough to step into something outside of my kind of New England bubble. Wow. So that was one that I was afraid to write. That one was is that I have a big head? I think that I was just okay, God, that this is a dream of mine. The second was to write a book.
Oh my goodness.
And that one was probably the hardest to write. Laura's shaking her head. Yes, she's like, yes, you are. I have wrestled with that one just because I'm I have nothing, what do I write? But it's been something that I have wrestled before God with, just feeling why do I have this desire to sit down, but this fear of really... I think because once you put something on paper, you can't take that back. It's not like you can be hey, not like a podcast, you can edit it out. Once it's in print, it's there. Yeah. But those are the two things. So what's ahead for me? I kind of laid those before God. Yeah. So I have no idea.
Cool.
But those would be real exposing my heart dreams would be.
I mean, those are your gifts. So if the Lord, picks up what you put down on paper, it would be just an extension of your calling.
As long as he says, I'm picking up what you put down. Like, picture God responding.
It would not surprise me, because I could totally see you doing both of those things and doing it well, because your ministry is with women and you do an awesome job of that. And it's my privilege to be one of the women who you've discipled, whether you know it or not.
Jill's out for the cry today. Oh, Jill, thank you so much. I know we're past our time. I know your husband's a champ. He has them all like playing outside
playing
right
basketball.
now.
That's all right.
But this has been so nice to hear your story. I'm going to tag this in our intro outro, but just want to encourage people. They need to go find your shoes. They are the cutest things. We're headed towards Christmas.
Yes.
The best time.
That would be a great time.
Such great gifts. I joked with you that it almost makes me want to have a baby just so I can get the shoes. But then I would have to raise a whole
Did you put that
baby.
in the journal?
Yeah. No, ma'am. That is not written down.
Okay.
But they are awesome, and they're awesome gifts. And so Kiss and Toes, check that out. And then just to follow you too on... Love your Instagram. It is worth, just though the cow problem has been dealt with, they're not getting out. We won't talk about it.
Oh my goodness, stampeding all
when
over
they
my
were,
yard.
It was definitely worth the video footage. So
thank you.
Thanks for being on today, Jill.
Oh, I'm so glad I could. Thanks. This has been a privilege. Thank you, Bethany.
It was so fun to sit down with Jill and just catch up on life. And I am just so proud of her for taking this huge step and launching her own business. And here's what I need you to know. That these are not only the most adorable shoes that help teach kiddos independence and preserve a little more of mommy's sanity, but because Kiss and Toes strives to help families and believes every child should be cherished, with every single pair of shoes they sell, they donate a portion of their proceeds to help support individual families who are in the process of adoption. That's amazing. It gets better. Guys, we're going to work with Kiss and Toes from now through Christmas, and they are offering 15% off your purchase price if you use the promo code HeyGirlPod. 15% off, guys. This is literally the best discount they have ever offered since launching this business, and they're doing it with Hey Girl. I love it. So this is what you need to do. It's time to go shopping. I know Black Friday's coming, Christmas is coming. So mamas, you're going to want to buy these for your kids. Even if you don't have kids, if you know kids or nieces, nephews, grandkids, whoever they are, go to kissandtoes.com. That's KISSINTOES.com. Kissandtoes.com. Make sure you use the promo code HeyGirlPod. Get your 15% off. Go order some of these adorable shoes, and then take some pictures. Tag us, tag Kiss and Toes. Let us know what you think. I promise you, not only are these shoes going to save you so much time, or your friends or whomever you gift them to, time heading out the door, but how awesome is it to know that your money, that part of those proceeds are even going further than that to help families who are in the process of adopting children. It is a win-win all around. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this week's Hey Girl podcast. I love that I get to introduce you to my friend Jill. I love that we got to introduce you to her adorable shoes. And I cannot wait to start seeing the pictures popping up of kids wearing the shoes, of you guys sharing just all that even Jill's story has meant to encourage you today. So you know where to find us at Hey Girl Pod on Instagram, on Facebook. Reach out, let us know, but also go on kissandtoes.com, buy those shoes, put in the promo code Hey Girl Pod, 15% off. I cannot wait. Until next week, keep running your race in your place and know I am cheering you on.